This is the Devil's Guide to D&D. Devil's Delegate here in frosty, cold Atlanta. And I'm back to talk about the Rune Knight in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I admit I'm more of a caster guy, particularly drawn to bards, but the Rune Knight is something special. He's a strong fighter that can tank, can inflict solid damage, and is an amazing support character, and does it all without the complexity of other classes. It's a fun-to-play subclass without getting bogged down in rules. The Rune Knight's abilities come in two forms. The ability to enlarge, which supplies extra damage, making the Rune Knight the best grappler in the game, and magic runes, 2 to start and 5 total. They have a variety of uses, including battlefield control and skill buffs. The description has the Rune Knight's powers coming from a connection to giants. I've reskinned that for my game to make it related to genies, which I find works even better since the subclass's enlarge ability is mostly temporary, and while giants are big by nature, genies are more the shape-changing, growing, and shrinking types. The enlarge ability comes online at 3rd level when you take the subclass. Called Giant's Might, it lets you grow to large size for 1 minute. Note, doesn't matter what size you were before, so if you want to be a large pissed off gnome or angry halfling, here you go. While you're large, you can do 1d6 extra damage once a turn. Look into ways of getting attacks on other people's turns, like the reaction supplied by the Polearm Master feat. Also check if your DM is using the oversized weapons rule, page 278 of the DMG. If so, your weapon, which should grow with you as you are wearing it, would do an extra die of damage. I like that rule and am using it. You also have advantage on strength checks and saves, which is more useful than you might think. The Rune Knight can replace one of his attacks with a grapple attack. Well, anyone can, but Rune Knights are better at it, making a strength check to hold someone. He can also make a shove attack to knock a target prone. A prone and grappled enemy can't get up, meaning he's in a whole lot of trouble. Oh, and the Rune Knight can drag him around while hitting him with advantage. Now you can only grapple creatures up to 1 size larger than you. Ah, but you grew, which means you can grapple an adult dragon. Look for ways to improve your grappling. Not the Grappler feat, but the Tavern Brawler feat lets you grapple on a bonus action when you've hit someone with an improvised weapon or an unarmed strike, and it makes unarmed strikes more damaging. Real synergy there. Later, at 10th, your extra damage while you're enlarged switches to a d8 and you permanently grow 3d4 inches, which is amusing. But at the end of your career, at 18th, you can enlarge to an extra size, to huge. You gain reach, and your extra damage goes to a d10. This is a good fighter. And we're less than halfway to the cool stuff because you've got those magic runes. There are 6 to choose from, and you'll get 5 over the course of your career. 2 at 3rd, 3 at 7th, 4 at 10th, 5 at 15th. The 2 best ones you have to wait till 7th to get, which is fine. You inscribe these on something you wear or hold. Shield, armor. Jewelry is an option, so I suggest investing in some, because that's going to be easier to wear in a social situation. Each rune has some always-on ability, quite circumstantial in some cases, but ones that can give you something extra that a fighter usually can't get, like some help with skills. But the big thing is their once between short rests activated ability. You get 2 to 5 really cool, useful, fun, and simple abilities that refresh on a quick nap. Remember, you start with 2, so you can get the hang of these before any more come along. Let's take a look at them. The Cloud Rune's Always On ability is advantage on sleight of hand and deception checks. Do you need those? Maybe. Maybe you want to build toward those. If not, they're still nice. But its activated ability is to allow you, as a reaction to an attacker hitting someone within 30 feet, is to choose a new target for the attack. No roll, no check, you just do it. The big bad has critted on you, you choose the big bad sidekick to get hit instead. How good is this? It's really good. You're now safer, the bad guys can take the worst attacks, and you can use this to help your party. Take this rune. The Fire Rune doubles your proficiency with tool use, any tool use. Oh, the subclass gave you proficiency in smith tools. Depending on your game, this could be nice or next to nothing. Hey, thieves' tools are tools. You could double for the team's thief. Cool. If nothing else, you're going to be great with bagpipes. Its activated ability is to do an extra 2d6 fire damage on a hit, and then if the target fails a strength save, he gets fiery shackles on him, which restrains him and keeps damaging him until he succeeds on a save. Extra damage is good, and if you are fighting some lower strength opponents, this will be great. It's a good way to kill a wizard. This is one of 2 runes I'd suggest for the second spot at 3rd level, but if you take it, you'll probably trade it away at 7th when better ones become available, and get it back at 10th or 15th. You'll be choosing between it and the Stone Rune, which gives you advantage on insight checks and 120-foot dark vision. If you don't have dark vision, this is clearly the winner of the inactive abilities. Stone Rune's activated feature is a whole person-like ability. You can use your reaction when some guy comes within 30 feet of you to make him make a wisdom save, and it's against your con, so that's good. And if he fails, he's charmed and incapacitated. Until he saves, he's helpless. He doesn't get extra saves from you whapping him. I put this rune above the fire one by a touch, but it's close and they're both worth having, and both will be traded out at 7th. The final one available at 3rd level is the Frost Rune. It gives you advantage on animal handling and intimidation, which is fine. Its activated ability is to give you 10 minutes of a +2 to all your strength and con saves and checks. A +2 can help you avoid being poisoned, stunned, or paralyzed. Your strength and con are already going to be good, and when you enlarge, you get advantage on strength saves and checks already. So this would be nice to have, but you can't have them all, and this is going to be the weakest in most campaigns. At 7th, you access the Hill Rune and the Storm Rune, and chances are you'll want to take both of these, as at 7th is when you go from having 2 to 3 runes. Keeping Cloud and trading out whichever you took of Fire or Stone is normally going to be the best choice. Hill, just sitting there, gives you advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and resistance against poison damage. Another reason the Frost Rune doesn't quite compete. Poison damage is common, so this is great to have going all the time. And activating it? You get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for 1 minute, both magical and non-magical. You are a tank. You laugh at enemies now. I don't need to explain why this is great and why other fighters are looking at you longingly. Finally, the Storm Rune gives you advantage on Arcana checks, which is something you're probably not going to be good at, but now you're better. And maybe you want to build a smart fighter. And if not, you're still better than you would have been. It also stops you from being surprised, which can be handy. When activated, for a minute, you can use your reaction to grant advantage or disadvantage to anyone making an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check within 60 feet. Wow. The Bard is bowing to you. This is a huge buff to your entire party, saving them from horrible effects, making their weapons hit, and saving them and you from being hit. And applying disadvantage on saving throws? You can use this with your own fire and stone runes for the saves against being shackled and incapacitated, so those have just become a lot more reliable. Also, chat with your party caster. If he's got a big spell he needs to land, maybe a dominate monster, you can make that happen. There's not many subclasses that allow you to give disadvantage on saving throws. This is great. And at 15th level, you can activate all your runes twice. Twice. Between short rests. You'll have several of them going during every combat. Oh, and if the Rune Knight isn't already fantastic enough as a support character, he gets one more ability, back at 7th level. He can force a reroll of any attack roll that hit, and do that a number of times equal to his proficiency bonus. Your party is going to love you. The Rune Knight is in the top tier of fighter subclasses, up with the Echo Knight and the Battlemaster. It's powerful, and it's fun. There's always something to do. You'll be using bonus actions and reactions and switching types of attacks. In fact, the one thing you'll have to watch is your reactions, as you have so many things to do with them, and you'll need to judge what's best this round. I've suggested a strength-based grappler, but you could build a Rune Knight in other ways. Remember all those skill buffs? You could go dex and charisma or even intelligence and fill in other party roles while still being a decent fighter. Go hardcore support or become a thief. Might not be quite as optimized, but still good and still interesting. It takes a lot to get me excited about a fighter. The Rune Knight has a lot. Some subclasses are strong, but not necessarily a good time. Some need to be overly complex to be strong. The Rune Knight hits all the right spots. Not too tricky, strong, and always something to do. It's even going to be reasonable in social situations with all those runic buffs. How many fighters can say that? That's all for now. Please like and subscribe, keep playing D&D, and it's Super Bowl weekend, so endless pizza! Have fun.